Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Ernie Davieau, aka the Squatch Whisperer. I see you have decided to make your way into the Fox Den once again so that we can team up for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Yeah, please, I really do need to feed. Absolutely delicious. And now that has been taken care of, it is once again time for the Squatch Whisperer and myself to team up to hunt the nefarious Dogman.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Yes, Ernie Davieau, the Squatch Whisperer. He has been MIA for a bit, but been taking care of important things and also doing some of his own research because, as you know, Ernie spends a lot of his time figuring out what is going on with the forest people. Yet tonight, he has decided to set up the late night fire so that we can burn some timber in an attempt to figure out what is occurring with strange sightings, missing people, and prehistoric and modern day predator behaviors. So welcome to the stomping ground of the Midnight Society. Mr. Davieau, how the heck you been, man?
Yeah, I've been pretty good, Kenny. You know me. I've been pretty busy and with everything that's going on, so I've missed a few of your shows with you to do, and that's about it right there. Working a lot too, so not working as much as you because you do work a lot doing this. That's about it with me. What about you?
Great, man. Definitely glad to link up with you again. And sorry I missed a few of your calls. Just like to the audience, I literally do everything on my iPhone. Not one thing you see on my channel is created from a computer. It's legit all from my cell phone or my Samsung tablet. Go spend around 10 to 12 hours a day editing. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. That way I can open up my editing equipment and really pay attention to, what I'm trying to churn out. Different styles of work, man. You put in a ton of work too. But yeah, I do all my editing, all my audio, all my music, all my art. I mean, yes, friends of mine help out with this, but I put it all together. I have to do all the editing and, then try to share around everything. Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. But unfortunately, sometimes you can't pick when opportunity presents itself, so you just got to roll with it. In a perfect world, one, I guess a day, maybe two is really good to allow me to do other things, but sometimes, it just blows all up. But I have really bad anxieties, even with great opportunities. Sometimes I just get so overwhelmed trying to be on time and stuff like that. And it's terrible, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that, the anxiety, but not on the level you're at right now. It used to be like that for me. So I can really appreciate everything you're doing. And a lot of people, I've heard that from so many people who do podcasts, how much it really takes to put one together. And that's one of the reasons why I don't do it at all. The other reason is because you know me, Kenny, the computers and things like that would be in the trash the next day because they would be useless, right? I would burn them up. Okay, we literally have 5 of them. So yeah, one's confusing enough for me, and 2 is just overwhelming.
No worries, man. With the technology, you sound like Nooksium and such, but it's all good, man. You're gonna chuckle. So I got the iPhone cranking for stuff right now, man. I turned it on, touch base with you. Now it's uploading some art and backing up my iCloud. I got the good old Chromebook, the old man here that's like 8 years old, but it allows me to do what I need to do. Talking to you, I got the Bruins up in the background on my Xbox and my TV, man. And yeah, I'm rolling, dude.
Yeah, Elon Musk, if he met you or he knows of you, he probably cries once in a while, thinking that there's actually a human being that can do this stuff.
I know, right?
You're not from Mars. Okay.
It's like Steve Stockton says, actually, my next guest right after you. So, two brilliant back to back people. It's no different than people in the past that were afraid of the ballpoint pen in comparison to the felt pen or such. I mean, or people that, hey, if you want to keep rolling with swords are cool, but then the next level is guns. For the most part, we're not going to reverse back the swords. So you got to make sure to adapt to things. And yeah, I'm always just intrigued.
Kenny, I was terrified of pencils when I was a little kid. I was just so used to using a piece of charcoal, and then you just rub out your mistakes with sand. To do that with a pencil, that was a trick. And then they had to introduce me to pens, multicolored pens, and that was it for me. I was ringing the bell.
That's hilarious stuff, man. No, I just try to, like I said, always learn. And don't get me wrong. I mean, to everybody out there, of course, I still potentially get frustrated sometimes, when I can't understand something or you don't have the allotted time frame to properly understand something that you didn't know was changing. For example, like when I update my phone and Adobe updates, all my stuff's still there, but then I open it and they've moved everything. It's part of adapting and learning, but it's like, crap, I didn't really have this extra 15 minutes right now to click all these random new icons you've added to find where my stuff is. But what the Christmas trees? I don't have a choice.
Believe me, I can understand. You got to look at it and say, you know what? You just stole 15 minutes of my precious life.
Right. And it's one of those things that sometimes when something works, you don't need to reinvent it, correct? Right? A hammer is a hammer. All right. When you have everything set up and Adobe and everything else is functioning fluent and great, why did you need to give it a facelift? Was it because you were that bored to then just add these little new icons? Because it didn't make the system operate any better.
I'm gonna have nightmares if you keep going on with apps and things like that, because that's my worst fear. It's like, where's the app to open it? And I just want it to open like it's supposed to open. And if it doesn't, I start panicking, because now I realize that if I push the wrong button, the world ends. Okay.
No, dude, don't worry.
I'm
Nothing's
the
gonna blow up.
football.
All right? Nothing's gonna go boom. You're not cutting the red or green wire. And if you are deleting something, it prompts you numerous times. So I mean, you just got to go in and mess around with things,
Right. I mean, if I came across a werewolf or something, like maybe a vampire or something that could give me 2,500 years, I'd say, hey, what's an extra 15 minutes out of my out of my life here? And I'd get through it and laugh, because I'd realize that, isn't anybody going to bother me in 100 years anyways?
Isn't that so funny, my friends? I actually got a couple of interesting encounters from your neck of the woods that are pretty old school that we'll get into, and that should eat up the majority of our time. But what else have you been up to?
There's a lot here, Kenny. I was looking that up myself. That this Ohio like leads everything for the amount of encounters here. I'm amazed if that's a legit fact. But go ahead.
You're right in what we call werewolf square, even though,
Beautiful.
we've gone over that numerous times about how there is a difference between Dogman and werewolves, but that's just,
Yeah.
a fancier sounding title. But yeah, what have you been diving into lately? You been doing any research on anything? I mean, I know that you've been going around working with people on the Sasquatch and such, but before we
Yeah.
dive into Dogman, you been doing anything with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just on a show, Paul Sinclair from England. Okay. And he's getting ready to come out here, quite possibly. I shouldn't get into all the logistics and everything, but I'll be doing that conference or the festival in Massachusetts to put them on the map, help them put them on the map. And they have a great cause on raising the money for the kids for their projects and everything. So that's about it with that right there. Anyways, yeah, that's about it there. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on in that area, a lot of encounters in that area, hugely that we don't talk about. A few new things in the research that a lot of us don't talk about because we don't like it too much of it getting out there. This happens. You actually crossed that in the conversation on one of your last shows there, uh, about somebody that you wanted to get in touch with again. Okay, Autumn Williams, and how much you believe that she was pushed out of the limelight. And I'd have to agree with you on that. But it's a perfect
Yes.
example of how people take things from other people without giving them kudos or anything for what they've done, and they really haven't. There's many of them out there, many of them out there, and people wonder why they don't know this and they don't know that. Well, even if we fed you even if we spoon fed you information like this, you're not going to utilize it. Your bias is going to stand in the way. And that show I just did from England there, that's one of the things that I talked about is whether we need a DB or not, and we don't. And I don't care really what anybody has to say about that. Think about it. Did Jane Goodall go up the side of that mountain and the mountain gorillas? No, she could have. She could have got people to do it. And what would that have told everybody? That has 2 feet and 2 hands and a head and eyeballs. But this here is in a different realm. This is where we need to communicate with something like this because they can, quite obviously, they can. The proof is out there, the eyewitness testimonies, the whole 9 yards. Um, what gets me going, I find it super interesting, is I was just curious, and you probably get the answer to this one here. Are there any states that don't have Dogman? Okay, and I thought I found one. Okay, and as I was reading into it, I discovered that it makes sense that there's no sightings in there. Okay, right 2 minutes prior to actually finding one. Okay, and it was because the only real animals they have in that state are raccoons and what is the other one? Possum, I'll say, something like that. So I mean, there's not much of a food source there. And then we're going to take a look at this state, okay? And it's really tiny. It's small. So if anybody hasn't figured it out by now, I'll name it. It's Rhode Island, okay? And then I came across one that this individual said that they were being followed by one. But that, you and I both believe that this goes right into uh, the fight or flight thing. What can scare you? What's going on there? And the different things that are out there on your beliefs, Kenny, on what the difference between a werewolf and it's good to know all of it, and a dog man and the whole 9 yards on you know can they breed with this and that and all of that. But that's where I am on that right now. And like you were just saying, you have a couple of encounters there. I'd like to hear those, go over those with you.
Great stuff right there, man. And of course, we will definitely tackle those right here in a few. And yeah, that video so far with my co-host Barb and also Mr. Barber about Autumn Williams. Yeah, very important video to me since
Very
I was a child. And I am at peace now, meaning that I know she's okay. And
good.
I hope she is able to sit down and listen to that. And if she ever wants to come speak again, she always has a home on our podcast. even if she never wants anything to do with any of this ever again, she now knows that her voice has been given back, and we're never going to let like what happened before happen again. I mean, she's super respected, super appreciated, super loved, and it was
Right.
just good to get that out there. It's
Yes.
said, I will tell you later on who the three individuals that I personally, as well as some of my other investigators, know that were involved in this, who pretty much bullied her, who harassed her, and who got physical with her, more or less.
I can
And
only imagine.
you will know. Yes, you will
Yeah.
definitely know. I won't
And
air
you
that.
understand, right? And you understand where I come from and the reason why I do this. And I'll tell your audience again. The reason why I do this is because I shut up. It rained havoc upon my life for an extremely long time, that I won't get into what it actually did to my life. And what brought me forward was because I have never ever heard anybody talk about an encounter like what I had. And I was hoping to, and I'm still hoping to. Okay, I've met people that were close to it. They won't speak to anybody, but I'm there to lock elbows with them because I'm just tired that people allow people to steal their work without giving them any kudos, any respect. And just so the audience knows, they might think that maybe I'm really totally opinionated and I don't know really what I'm talking about, but I can assure you that I absolutely do know that these things are all about, and this is through understanding what a covenant is that they had with the Native Americans trading. They have language, everything. Okay, um, these beings have a high um, degree of respect for people who are trustworthy and are honorable. Okay, and then respect in that fashion right there, but trustworthy first and foremost. So even if you, and it's on a spiritual level, even if you were brought into an area or you go into an area and they have shown themselves to you or communicated with you like a Mary Green or an Autumn Williams or a Sonia or a Randy Harrington or a couple people, JJ Squatchman even. Okay, what what happens is I just got a message from you. What happens is you bring somebody else into the area, and that person, you believe in that person, but even a dog can tell what you can't tell, and they can tell too. So now you've broken their trust in there, and that's what's going on. Is with the community, not everybody, but a lot of people, they plagiarize everybody's work, and they get up there. They either put it in a book or they get up on in front of people and talk about this is the first time it's ever heard and this is what I just found and everything. You all got to stop doing that stuff because it's going to change. And when it changes, it's a lot of people their feelings are going to be hurt. And I don't want to hurt other people's feelings, But okay, this goes on in the community. I guess it just goes on anyways. Everybody wants to be the top dog, even if they can't be. But trust me on this also is some people say I was blessed. For instance, I'm just using my experience, that I was blessed in having an encounter like this. Well, I can assure you it wasn't. It was a curse. Okay. It was a curse because of what it did to me. And I searched for over 37 years to find somebody to speak to. And there's people out there that are just like me. They don't want to speak with anybody else about it because they're afraid to. Now some of the big podcasters are just getting on there and they're just starting to trim it down a little bit. But look at the bias that sits there. Where a lot of them are still on footprints. A lot of them will even say, "Well, where are you getting this information from?" I'm not really going to be giving up all of that information. You need to. I'll point you in a direction and give you a hint like it's a treasure map. You dig for it that way. There, you have more pride in it. You have more pride in things that you earn yourself than when somebody gives you something. Trust me, I know that. I grew up with almost zero, with nothing at all, and spent most of my life like that. So to hand me, I have no feelings for that object or whatever it is that somebody gave me. If you knew I needed a bicycle and you handed me a bicycle, it would hold some kind of meaning to me. But it, not as much as if you earned it. Once you've earned it, it becomes a part of you. Okay. And that's what this is like. So for the people that are out there, please understand, you know, um, don't steal people's work. You severely hurt them. Don't put them down just because that you can play word judo or word salad. I had a chance 37 years ago, and I knew it that I needed to learn how to articulate myself a lot better. But then I started looking at it. I said, well, geez, if I want to call somebody a turd, I don't only want one or two people in the crowd to understand that you're a turd. Okay, I want the whole group, the whole crowd. So I'm going to break down to the level that I've learned in teaching martial arts, everything to break down to a person's level and teach them something. So I'm going to break down to the level of the audience and just say, you know what? You're a turd. And everybody will understand that. For what you've done to people who have had these encounters, it's PTSD. For you to take some of this information and even stick it in a book and not even give that person a cup of coffee or a hat or a shirt, you know, I can assure you it's much appreciated. And you win a person over by getting them to go on your podcast. And I do understand that. And I do understand what your monetary gain is. But you broke that trust and you hurt them, because when you speak with a lot of people, like on podcasts, they expect to be a friend for, or some of us, a friend. You're my friend forever because you listened to me and you treated me on that level. So that's where we are. To have that broken, even no matter what your relationship is, a marriage or anything at all. Okay, to have that trust of friendship broken can destroy a person more than you would ever know, because you've never been that low before. So with that, I'll end my little rant there, and I would just love, because I haven't spoken with you in a while, Kenny. I want to hear these encounters. Okay.
Great stuff right there. And I apologize. Like I said, I'm watching the Bruins game, and that's why I mute my mic, okay? Because I can't be
That's
getting
right.
copyright strikes. All right. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. Well, you
Bruins.
multitask. You know how to
I
multitask.
know. That's why I should have muted for a second, because I was, checking the score because something just happened,
Right,
but listening to
right,
you. But yet I forgot to mute my mic. So I caused a little bit of
right.
extra editing for
Well,
myself because the NHL does not like that.
right. Well, I'm like a giant Jack Russell. Okay, I'm going from point A to point B, and there isn't anything else going on until I get to point B. If I get beyond the middle, beyond that middle area right there, yeah, I'm not coming back. So therefore, I'm just a focused individual on one thing, is where you, okay, are multifaceted, and you can, I don't know, maybe it's your many personalities. you know, it could be.
It's from the whole acting stuff, and yeah, and also
Yeah.
just I have a gift, and it could be a curse, like you said before we dive into these Ohio counters. Because if you
Yeah.
sat me down and were like, Star Fox, can you just focus on this task in front of you? Yeah, I mean, sure, but my superhuman skill is multitasking and being successful at it. I mean, my
Right.
teachers used to despise, all right, that they were talking, and I'd be like talking to the girl I had a crush on or something beside me, and then they would
Sure.
be like, Mr. Thibodeau. I'd be like, oh crap. They'd be
Oh,
like,
Mr.
what was I
Thibodeau.
just speaking about? And I would reiterate exactly what they just said. They were like, it doesn't matter whether you were correct about what you just said. Stop talking. So
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
so it's just like I
And
said, a gift and a curse.
yeah, don't challenge them. Don't ask them a question back. Then it gets them more infuriated.
Exactly. Because I mean, they asked me, I gave them the answer. I literally heard what you said, but you are correct. I probably should have not been speaking to my classmate beside me
Right.
while you're talking. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. It's like you didn't need to listen to the rest of the story. You already, you already had it. sorry for any of Kenny's teachers that may be listening to this, but he loves you.
I know, right? It's so
Yeah.
funny because if I could have went back in time, which I'm not one to ever care. I mean, history is important, but can't live in the past, can't be like some people are talking about your heyday on a high school football field all the time when you're drinking beers at 50. But funny things like that, if I could go back in time, I probably would have slapped myself silly in some certain instances for sure.
I see. I don't talk about it because I'm afraid my body's going to have an adverse reaction.
That's so funny. But all right, to the audience, yes, we are heading to Ernie's neck of the woods, right in the heart of Werewolf Square. And I mean, the oldest encounters that I have found that tie into Dogman are actually up here in Maine. And my science team and I have been working on a hypothesis that Mr. Brian Barber, one of my hosts, brought up that actually made a great sense to my brain. Meaning, yes, you need to learn this because, well, if you look at where Maine is, the first encounters up here predate the Michigan Dogman by almost 25 years. Realistically, they could have came from northern Maine, cut through Canada, and then came down through Toronto into the Greater Lakes area, and then caused the whole Michigan Dogman and Beast of Railroad activity. Just a little bit of food for thought right there for you. And also, again, since we've been talking about people getting hosed on things they do, some bozo out there that has like 22.3 thousand subs. He's got a following, decides to take Mr. Brian Barber's audio from his page, which is okay, fine. You're getting information out there. You're getting his side of the story out there. But this guy doesn't even give Barber a shout out. Just takes his stuff. Barbara and I sat down and came up with a good response that he posted under this dude's page. But that's what I mean. This guy's got like 22.3 thousand subs. Yes, I'm looking at it right now. And I'm not calling people out. Do your own research if you want to figure out who this person is. Not the point. But the point is, how many times does this guy do this to people and not give them credit on stuff? I don't have time, nor do I care to look through this person's channel. But I'm pretty optimistic that there's some other people on here that he's snagged their stuff and probably hasn't given them any shout outs. So before I read these, man, what do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. And I've seen the names that you sent me, and I'm going to tell you right now, 100%. You nailed it, buddy. You nailed it, 100%. I am not surprised one single bit because
you wouldn't, bro. That's why. Yep.
One of them goes back, and you know my history. One of them goes back almost 40 years with me, and that's what really, really, really hurt me. So we're gonna get off of this so we don't stay on a rant on this one here because you know me, I definitely want to talk about this Dogman thing because you really get me, you give me some nightmares, and I do have a little bit of input on the, on your hypothesis you're working on, whether they came from Maine or not. I mean, let's just throw in there like one of the things that we have and a lot of evidence on is the Vikings being up there, number one. Okay, and the other thing was pirates. There was a lot of pirates up there. So, just makes me wonder. I mean, did these guys, like Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever, did they bring a werewolf with them or what's going on? And then you get the Vikings that were like berserker, I mean, what did they have? Could there be something in there? And that's why they were using them rune stones and all that. I mean, it's freaky stuff, but yeah, I mean, what did Christopher Columbus bring us? I'm not sure, spaghetti. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting stuff for sure. And yeah. I mean, it's something that needs to be looked at because again, I always present stuff that needs to be looked at. And again, everyone sees the disclaimer in my videos. Yes, I am part of the North American Dogman Project and I am part of their science team, and vice versa. I am part of, and we are here at Midnight Lycanthropy, and my science team is also here. And like my disclaimer says, just because I'm a part of them and such, and they're friends of mine, doesn't necessarily mean that when I say something and I believe in it, right, or I'm presenting something, that every other person that associates with me has to fully be on board with all that stuff. It's not how it works. You my disclaimer in the video, but just always remember that, all right? Just because I'm part of the North American Dogman Project, just because Star Fox says something, does not mean everybody else on my science team automatically and here at the North American Dogman Project agree with that. Let's get that
That's
out
right.
there.
Yeah, we can take one thing that probably several really good researchers that are lost in time. Again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say Autumn Williams, okay, kept a really good open mind, a really good open mind, and everybody on your team should have that open mind. I mean, if I could get anybody, I could give anybody $50,000 to go out in the woods with me and scream. Will you scream for 50 grand? Sure, you would. I don't have the money, but I'll write you a check, maybe. Anybody will do something like that. So I wouldn't need those people. I need people that are going to be thinking outside the box. How would we, if we were, let's say, attacked by some dogmen or whatever, how would we get out of there? I want everybody to be thinking about it. I don't want to have to be trying to corral them like a bunch of chickens that don't know how to get back in the coop because they're running willy-nilly through the woods. It's like plan. So it's good to have the team that you have, and it's good to have people in the audience that understand this is what it takes. You've got to train your mind a little bit to be able to, you've seen something. Are you going to walk over to it? Are you going to run away? Are you going to really study it? I've had those things happen to me in the woods where I actually thought it was an owl, and I really, really did it. And it wasn't, after getting closer and closer, you can make it out. I know personally of a hunter that was out there um, hunting uh, ducks or whatever, and he really thought that he was sneaking up on these ducks in a pond. He spent over an hour sneaking up on these ducks. Come to find out, they weren't. They were decoys that were put out by the warden. So that's a prime example that you didn't even notice that they weren't moving at all. And I can give you countless cases like that, but I'm not even going to go there because I want to give Kenny his time because he knows I'm chomping at the bit on this stuff
Uh,
here.
I mean, it's your time too, and that's another thing again that everyone, just because I started Midnight Lycanthropy or whatever, okay, everyone here, I look at it as a home for all of us, and it's not
Yeah,
just my work. I mean, it's my whole team's work, and that's again,
yeah,
kudos. That's why I always try to, when someone's like, "Oh, Star Fox, you're brilliant," and that's such a brilliant hypothesis. Thank you, pump the brakes. So I got a squad with me. I didn't just wake up one morning, and just put this all together myself.
yeah.
So
Have an epiphany, right?
yeah, that's why I make sure to give people, like I said, the kudos. All right, man, let's go to Ohio here. Like I said,
Yeah.
1900,
Ooh,
Hedgesburg. All right,
ooh.
so yeah, I went old school for you, man, and you will probably know these areas much better than I, because I am up in New England. Well, locals begin hearing strange, eerie, human-like howls and screams erupting in the darkness of the night. It is also reported that packs of jet black, bipedal, and quadrupedal, strange looking wolf creatures with amber glowing red eyes are being seen roaming cemeteries in the heart of night. Some of the most famous dogman encounters of all time have occurred in Ohio, with the creature being dubbed the Werewolf of Defiance, the Beast of Anthony Road, the Germantown Werewolf, and the Butter Street Monster. What do you think about that, man?
Well, I think it's really, my feelings about things like that are going on up here in Ohio. That, like I said, it gives me a little bit of nightmares. But it's interesting because I was just reading something today about the different colored eyes and what they mean. That the alpha's got the red eyes and the one with the golden eyes or whatever, the glow golden or burnt orange means that it hasn't killed an innocent person yet, or things like that. So um, and then of course you in the packs that you just mentioned, the packs of them also. I mean, it's interesting to note that you may have the alpha dogman or maybe even the alpha werewolf. I'm not sure. That would be something in your realm that you would know. But the alpha dogman will take it on that one there. That he actually has like one that stands off like his right hand man that actually is plans out an attack and stuff. So it's interesting that you brought that up, that they actually seen like them doing a certain thing, you know, and around the cemeteries. That's kind of disturbing. That's kind of making me think, like, you know, what's going on in Rhode Island when they only got like raccoons and skunks. That was the other one, you know, raccoons and skunks. You know, are they digging up the snacking on them, or what's going on there? You know, so yeah, that's
Pretty hard stuff. And to actually answer your question, I don't think I did from earlier before I read you this last encounter, and then we got to start letting Mr. Davio get back to what he needs to do. But I have encounters from every state except from Hawaii.
ooh,
But I assume, and assumptions aren't good, if I spoke to the rep that covers that area, there's probably some sort of connection as well. And same thing when it comes to countries. I have encounters from the majority of the countries in the world. I mean, I even have encounters from China. It's pretty gnarly stuff.
yeah, that is gnarly. And Paul Sinclair from England there, he's like the I'd say he's like the leading authority on that stuff there. He's had his own stuff going on and everything. So go ahead, shoot.
All right. All right. So now we're going to go to 1965. Ooh, and this name right here should just ring a bell because we just said it. Butter Street, which is in German Township, Ohio.
Oh,
Teenager Gary Stamper and two of his friends are driving home late one night when they are surprised to see what they believe is an enormous wolf standing up on two legs with human-like arms as it was turning around to look at the oncoming car in the middle of the road. The boys, well, obviously startled, quickly slammed on the brakes to stop the car. And as they began to turn around to leave, this creature became curious and decided it was going to pursue their car. Getting so close and being so strong, it tore the bumper clean off the car. And each boy told their story to their parents. They were scolded and ridiculed and told that it was very obvious they had been in a car accident and to grow up and that there's no such thing as a wolf on two legs. And they were all grounded. The strange thing is, reports of the Butter Street Dogman are still coming in, and the animal doesn't seem to want to leave anytime soon.
wow. Well, Germantown, I mean, there it goes right there. I mean, we're going right into like the Vikings and stuff like that. You know, the heritage and what they brought over, all their beliefs and everything. Um, they describe something with human-like arms. I mean, that stands out a little bit there. Yeah, standing on two legs, and it was ripped the bumper off the car in 1965. I can assure the listeners right now that you could probably just about take, if you bent your bumper in one direction, you just go around the other side of the building and whack the building with your car again, and it'll straighten your bumper out. That's how that's how stout that these bumpers were. The mechanics that worked on your vehicles, they were like really strong people, because in today's real world, it would probably take two people to pick up that bumper and put it on a car. So if they did hit something, there would have been an amazing amount of damage
Mm-hmm.
to the front of your car, to your axle. Those would be the weak links on your car. So for something, a wolf is not going to go up, you know, and grab you the front of a 1965 car of any, just about any make, and almost tear the bumper off. I can't, I I can't fathom that ever happening. So,
You
you
don't
know,
want
there.
to, Ernie, you don't want to go take a ride down Butter Street. And it's so funny you say that because, again, I always have to be careful because it's cool for me to learn and hear this. But obviously, to the people that are explaining it, it's not necessarily cool, except to my friend Sonia, right? And
Right.
you know Sonia, she literally the only person that we'd be like, all right, well, I think I was supposed to link up with Sonia tonight for Midnight Lycanthropy. But last thing I knew, she told me there were some strange sounds coming from the woods behind her house, and she was going to check. And I haven't heard from her again. Well, same thing when she had her werewolf or dogman encounter. She stops the car. Her friends are all like, what the frig is this thing? Sonya's just like, yo, this is pretty cool. What the heck? Stops and wants to proceed to get out. And her friends are like, no, drive the effing car. And she's had another experience she told me before, too. Same thing, strange kind of noises. And she wants to go check it out. And her friend's like, what are you trying to get unalived? Yeah, no, thank you. Let's go inside the lit house and lock doors, you know?
Yeah, I can, I can't say I blame her. I mean, if I was in the car with her, or you were in the car with her, or even me, we're stopping the car. You know, we're people ask me that about my encounter. I go, up until a certain point, I wanted to go follow them. I wanted to know more about them. And people say, "Are you crazy?" Well, you know, I suppose I am.
Uh,
In a way, but I want to know. I want to know. I'm not going to go above my means. That's for sure. I know my limits. You know, and I would definitely do it. I know you would probably do it too. You'd say, "Hey, anybody got a flashlight or a Bic lighter? Let's go check it out."
it's so funny you say that because, again, as we start to tie this up, well, one of my favorite vampire characters' name is Alucard, and he's an anti-hero, which is kind of how I just view myself in life. But he has morals. Again, I have morals, and anti-heroes aren't bad. They just don't necessarily do this pretty stuff, right? That occurs.
Right.
But like you said, I don't know. I really can't give a definitive answer, but I don't really fear many things. Okay, human,
Right.
unknown. I mean, I've been through a ton of things. I'm still going through things. Is what it is. Whether or not something is going to decease me or in life is going to take me down, I bow before no one. I'll look it right in the eyes, And like my favorite
Yeah.
vampire says, a monster can't take down a monster. Only a human can ever dream of such foolishness.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I love it. Um, yeah. So that being said, I mean, yeah. Uh, I mean, if I know where Germantown is around here, you know, but if I do go riding down there, I think I want to ride with like a really stout vehicle, something like a truck, just to make sure it can't tear my door off because I know the bumper's no good. Uh,
Right?
you can
And
have the bumper, but you can't get in with me.
that's truth right there. And then again, what's really interesting about that is you had multiple witnesses, and not that the first one was a multiple
Yeah.
witnesses, but they were all pretty much by themselves. But this, you had a bunch of people together, which is always good a little bit more because I don't know, you know how law enforcement and everything else works. The more people that are involved, it's harder to keep a hoax going or something or
That's right.
hide something. To get that many people to speak about it and then still, I guess, more or less play along with it if it was a hoax would be very hard.
Yeah. 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 You're definitely right about that. It would be extremely hard, and it would be extremely hard for anybody to even um I mean, some of these people, you can ghost them and then come back. Why don't you try coming back in 40 years and ask them to tell their story again? You
Mhm.
can tell you can tell the people that this is actually, these things have haunted them for that long. That's a long time. It's ingrained in their minds. They're not going to forget about it. Whereas where other people that are hoaxers and stuff, the only people they're really gonna hurt are uh, the Autumn Williams in this world, and the Mary Greens, and people like that. And that's a real shame because they have no honor to themselves that hurt other people like that. But that'd be for something else to
Right
talk
there.
about.
That is excellent stuff. And well, do you have anything else you would like to touch base on before we let you get back to your wife, my friend?
No, I don't think so. I think I've just really had a great time being able to touch bases with you again, and you tell me about Buttertown, because now I'm not going to be able to stand to go into Butterbean's restaurant. You know,
Hey, got to get
I'm
that knowledge out there,
to
right?
worry about selling dog food, or I don't know what, erase that part of it. But
That's so funny. But all right, to the audience, yes, Mr. Davio must attend to other things. But even though he doesn't have his own podcast, no worries. Type in his name. all kinds of things come up. Ooh, but you can even click on the playlist that we have where you can catch up on other episodes Ernie and I have taken care of. So it's really not that big of a deal if you want to hear more from him. But this will be the conclusion of the meeting for the Midnight Society for the evening. Ernie, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
My creatures of the night, I do adore every single one of you. And thank you for stopping in tonight and hanging out with us. If you do like my content, please subscribe, share it, comment, and feed the algorithm. I will catch you very soon.